What is up, guys? This is Alucard AFK with another MTGO game with commentary. So, opening hands on our black-blue control deck, we have a Drowned Catacomb, Phyrexian Obliterator, a Swamp, an Island, another Drowned Catacomb, Black Sun Zenith, and a Darkslick Shores. Go ahead and play a Darkslick Shores. And he'll play an Island. And we'll get a Ponder. Go ahead and play a Swamp. And we'll do a Ponder. So, Thought Scour, Swamp, and a Mind Sculpt. So we'll rearrange and draw a Mind Sculpt. Top 7 cards of his library into his graveyard, if we get it through. When they open with an Island, it's you gotta assume that he has some counter spells in his opening hand. We don't, but so we drew the Thought Scour, and we'll play a Drowned Catacomb. And the thing that I never mention in any game, I assume it's just you know, known. But the reason, Darkslick Shores enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or few other lands. So you want to play those out first, if you're, or any of the dual lands that require a certain number of lands, or not require a certain number, but you're limited to a certain number, or it's tapped. So you play Darkslick Shores first, and then we played a Swamp because Drowned Catacomb comes in tapped unless you control an island or a swamp. So that's just the order that they go with these dual lands. Some limit you and they're tapped, and some have to require another, lands of those colors to play it. So we'll go ahead and try to do a Mind Sculpt first. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I should have went for Thought Scour first. It's 1 mana. If it got countered, then I could have played Mind Sculpt. It just happened in reverse, so he'll do a negate. And then we'll do the Thought Scour. So like I said, I should have done them in the reverse order there. I knew that he probably had a counter spell, but I wasn't sure if he was going to go ahead and counter that. A lot of people don't mind milling at the very beginning, but towards the end, where they're trying to get something, that's when they would start negating it and things. So drew a Swamp. He'll play a Mountain, so he's blue-red. At least blue-red. Got another Mind Sculpt. Put a Drowned Catacomb out. And we'll go ahead and do that Mind Sculpt. He'll do a Desperate Ravings, draw 2 cards, then discard a card at random. You can flash it back for 2 colorless and 1 blue. So that's where a lot of these red-blue cards come from, is he wants to be able to play them, but a lot of the flashback is blue. So really, the way I look at it in his Searing Spear, I mean, he's essentially a burn deck with some utility cards, some negates, some control there. I wouldn't necessarily call it blue-red control or anything. You can have controlling cards without being a control deck. If the percentage of your cards burn, then it's like there's just some utility cards in there. Whereas on this, I mean, yes, we have Phyrexian Obliterators and ways to protect them, but usually, I mean, and sometimes Phyrexian Obliterator becomes our win condition. It is essentially, though, mainly a blocker for Jace, and we have a lot of more milling cards than we do anything else. We do have a lot of removal, a lot of control, like negates and mana leaks, but essentially, these are blockers for Jace. And if it happens to be that they win the game, which happens quite a bit, if they don't have enough to deal with it, or ways to deal with Phyrexian Obliterator, then that becomes a win condition as well. And we have a lot of discard cards as well. So the primary theme is milling with a minor theme of discard, and Jace is really there to protect, And I revised this deck again. I've added some ways to, a lot of times, they won't have a direct removal spell, but they'll use Guess Verdict or something. and so that's where like Witchbane Orb comes in. And then there's also some cards that give Swift Foot Boots, that give Phyrexian Obliterator haste as well as hexproof, so that is a nice utility card that I've added. And I didn't really want to change up the deck theme so much. I just wanted to add some, I know if you remember the last game, I added Flight and Ghostly Touch, which will get Phyrexian Obliterator up in the air, and Ghostly Touch allows it to tap a creature or untap a creature when it attacks. So those were some utility cards. But Swift Foot Boots and like Mask of Avacyn, I think I just put Swift Foot Boots in, and the Witchbane Orb, so that would give me hexproof, and my Phyrexian Obliterator is hexproof, so that's nice. But like I said, I didn't want to change up the theme too much, so they're like they're singletons, maybe two. So we're not going to get them out every game. And if we put more than a couple in there, then it would just be like really switching the theme to Phyrexian Obliterators, protecting them. So so he'll play Faithless Looting, draw 2 cards, and discard 2 cards. So he's digging deep now, so got another swamp. And that's the downside and plus side to having a lot of lands. I mean, 23-24, a lot of people like in control decks, they might be able to knock them down to like 20-21 or something. But then with the Phyrexian Obliterators and Jace, I mean, you've just got to have, I have 4 drops of the Darkslick Shores, 4 drops of Drowned Catacombs, about 12 swamps, and maybe 3 or so islands, I think. I swapped the number of islands in and out in this deck because they're just essentially, I looked at all the cards, and if I had to play a blue additional, so Jace is 2 blue. A lot of the milling cards are just 1 blue, so it's nice to have some islands in there. So I'll go ahead and put out Phyrexian Obliterator. So play Secrets of the Dead. It's an enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, draw a card. So that's pretty nice. And I really wish I had got the Witchbane Orb out, but like I said, it's there's other cards that build the deck back up in a different way in the sideboard, but most of the games I'm playing are just single games, so I went ahead and put the Witchbane Orb directly into this deck. But I think there's just 1, so even with 2, I mean, chances of drawing aren't that great, but against burn decks, it shuts them down pretty good. So I'm gonna play a swamp. And we just have Black Sun Xeno sitting in the way. I know with a lot of the blue-red decks, they use burn spells for, obviously getting some direct damage in. But they also use Drakes. So he's definitely got some Tyrant Sky Summers in here with Tolerance Invocation. I've never seen, Sky Summoner played without this card, so I know that they're in there. A lot of control spells, so we were kind of expecting that. The ideal situation would be, I'll definitely play Black Sun Zenith even with Phyrexian Obliterator on the board to get rid of a bunch of flying drakes, because we have a couple flights in this deck to get Phyrexian Obliterator up in the air, and then Ghostly Touch could be able to tap some of those guys. But if you got a bunch of 2/2 flying drakes up there, they can quickly start chipping you down, even with Phyrexian Obliterator swinging in, so you've got to be able to deal with those. So other than getting Phyrexian Obliterator up in the air and having some tapping ability, Black Sun Zenith, I usually run 1 in this deck, but I'm running 2 in this deck now. It's a lifesaver, and you'll see in this game that it was as well. So we'll swing in with Phyrexian Obliterator for 5. He'll go down to 15. So I'll do a Searing Spear, 3 damage to target creature or player. A lot of people don't realize, they look at Phyrexian Obliterator in terms of, okay, well, if I block this, then I'm going to have to sacrifice permanents. But that's not what the card says. It says whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator. So I had one guy do a Blasphemous Act, which was 13 damage to each creature, and I had 2 Phyrexian Obliterators on, so he had to sacrifice, if he had that many, he basically sacrificed all of his cards, because that would have been, 26 damage. So if you had 26 permanents, you would have had to sacrifice all of those. I've laughed a few times when they've done direct damage to Phyrexian Obliterator. Essentially, usually getting rid of him, but they'll have to sacrifice that many permanents. So like right now, I mean, 3 damage to him would be crippling to him. So he's only got 5 lands, so it's direct damage to me. I wouldn't say necessarily smart player, I would say above average player, because the people that do direct damage to Obliterator just aren't thinking. So, but the average person comes in and goes, oh, I don't want to do damage to that guy, I want to do direct damage. So, and I don't know why you would. I mean, if you have enough burn spells to get over top of not deal with Obliterator, and you can do 5 damage around, then why not? Don't even mess with the Obliterator. So he'll do a Faithless Looting, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. And then it's triggered ability from Secrets of the Dead, so he'll draw a card from that. What we really don't want to come out is cards that say whenever you cast a red card or something, you do damage. Which usually these decks have those as well, so. So I played Delver of Secrets. It's a good creature for blue. He can transform and he becomes a flying 3/2, but I think the Drakes are just more powerful. Unless you have a way to boost up Delver of Secrets, I'd almost rather have an Invisible Stalker. I really hate Invisible Stalkers. You can boost those up and they're, unblockable, so. And really, for blue decks, I don't know why more people don't play Mindshrieker. It's an incredible card, and against most decks, you're going to be able to mill a card out, and he becomes, a 13/13 flying monkey. So, I always say flying monkey. They're not really monkeys, but I just look at that's like my definition of transforming something. So. Delve of Secrets, didn't transform. And there comes Sky Summoner. And it's a foil Sky Summoner, so that's a theme in his deck. So for now, he'll just be able to swing in for 1, so. But pretty soon he'll be able to start using Sky Summoner's abilities, and he'll start getting some Drakes out on the field. So play a Swamp. So we're not getting many utility cards, not really many control cards. We're getting a lot of lands, but sometimes it happens, So we still have Black Sun Zenith sitting in bay there. We'll swing in again. He'll go down to 5. And so he revealed it unsummoned, so essentially he transformed Delver of Secrets, so now he's a 3/2 flying. He's most likely going to try to get a bunch of Drakes out and then unsummon Phyrexian Obliterator and try to swing in, so. So he'll swing in with both. We'll go down to 11. So there comes Talrun's Invocation, like I was saying before. I knew he had this at least because it was in his graveyard, milled out. So he's going to be able to put two 2/2 blue Drake, 2/2 blue Drake creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. So, and we know he's still got unsummoned. So with 2 remaining, so that essentially put 3 2/2 flying Drakes onto the field, so he's got a lot of firepower now. So I would still do Black Sun Zenith even with Phyrexian Obliterator on the board. to get rid of these guys. The most that I have to do is 2 damage, or 2 counters on Black Sun Zenith. So I still would have done it with Phyrexian Obliterator on the field. Yeah, he would have became a 3/3, but it still would have got rid of this board. I've still got to do a board wipe either way, so for him to do Unsummon at this point is really helping me. And there comes another Drake, so he'll Unsummon. Won't be able to swing in this round. Go ahead and play a island. It would bring us to bring in Darkslick Swords. They would just come and tap, so, and we don't really need anything, so we'll tap. We'll go to 3. We'll do 3 just in case. I don't really know what he could do to boost any of those creatures up any higher, but we still only need 4 black to play Phyrexian Obliterator back out, so and I don't have any 1-drop card, so I go ahead and just add that 1 extra damage in there for good measure. So Black Sun Zenith will wipe the board, and then we'll go ahead and put Phyrexian Obliterator back out. And at this point, I really thought I would probably be able to swing in uninterrupted with Phyrexian Obliterator, and it would be game over. So, but it's always the nice thing about these control decks is that they have a way of coming back. So he'll do a think twice, draw some cards, then he'll draw another card. So he'll draw 3 cards, or 2 cards rather. Play Delver of Secrets again. He'll do a Burning Vengeance. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, Burning Vengeance deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So that's really bad for us. As long as he can keep unsummoning Phyrexian Obliterator, get some more stuff out, then he's going to be able to keep doing damage to us. So even for like drawing cards, for him to do his red draw cards. So from the graveyard. So again, we're just thinking anything but swamps. So we'll swing in a Phyrexian Obliterator. He has to block at this point, so he'll block, and then 4 will trample over top. So he'll go down to 1, and he'll have to sacrifice 1 permanent. So he sacrificed an island. Play Desperate Ravings, draw 2 cards, then discard a card at random. That's going to trigger Secrets of the Dead, so he's going to draw a card, and then it's going to do 2 damage from Burning Vengeance. So this is really not good for us, because he's going to be doing direct damage over the top of Phyrexian Obliterator. And then, like I said, as long as he can keep unsummoning or bouncing back Phyrexian Obliterator, he can definitely... it'll be close. So play an Augur of Bolas. Got a Phyrexian Obliterator that we need to put back out, and we have a Swamp. So we have really nothing to answer. Of course, he's Augur of Bolas is only 3, so 2 would trample over top and kill him, and we win the game. But you gotta think that he's got a way to bounce him back, so. So he'll do Silent Departure, return target creature to his owner's hand. So he's done Unsummons and he's done Silent Departure. And I never really thought that, these bounce back spells were that great at all. But he just cast that one from his graveyard, so he triggered Burning Vengeance and this. So in that case, it's really good. Obviously he doesn't have blue doesn't have really any permanent removal. Red has direct damage, which does not work well with Phyrexian Obliterator. So bounce back is really the best way to deal with Obliterator. And the fact that he could have cast it for 1 or bounced it back is really good. So. And, if I was, in this deck, I could play Silent Departure, but over which is 3. In the sideboard, there's Doom Blades and other things. It may be useful if I was dealing with some big baddie like this, but the problem with bouncing back is you got to deal with them every round. Unless you can do a negate, which would cripple me at this point. So Phyrexian Obliterator will bounce back. Play another Augur of Bolas. And then he'll swing in for 1. We'll go to 6. Black Sun Zenith. And I really think that running 2 in this deck is very, very, very good, because it just comes, like I cleared the board last time with all his drakes. You know, there was 3 or 4 2/2 flying drakes, his Sky Summoner, and, you know, something else. So, I mean, it really saved us that round. And again, it's going to save us, so. So we've got to go up to at least 3. We'll just do 3. Play Dark Slick Shores, which will come in tapped, and we'll put Phyrexian Obliterator back out. He has 1 card, so I don't know any cancel spells that are 1 mana. If he had 2 mana, we might be screwed with the negate or something. So play Tile, Ray, and Sky Summoner. And he played Tolerance Invocation. So he essentially has 3 2/2 flying drakes, so that's going to be 6 damage that we're not going to be able to block. Like I said, I don't have any of my utility cards to get Phyrexian Obliterator up in the air or Ghostly Touch to be able to tap. So this is not good for us, because essentially we're going to swing in and he's going to be able to block with all of those. Yes, he'll have to sacrifice permanents, but then, you know, it's kind of like Black Sun Zenith. It's like when I need a Black Sun Zenith, it seems to appear, and then when I need another Obliterator, it comes. So, and there you go. So we're going to play Dark Slick Shores that'll come in tapped, and we'll go ahead and put Obliterator out. But the only downside to really is that they're not flying, so so he'll block with all 3 drakes, and so it doesn't really matter the you know, the damage that we order it in. So we'll be able to reorder 2 on this one, 2 on this one, and then 1 on the other ones, because we only got 5 damage to block with. So, or 5 damage to assign rather. And then triggered abilities from Phyrexian Obliterator, so he'll have to sacrifice 5 permanents. And so even with that, you know, that can be pretty crippling. It definitely limits to what he can play. And with 1 damage, it's really bad. But essentially, you know, with this flying drake here, he can still swing over top of my head. You know, so it still could be anybody's game. If he could do another, you know, invocation, then he might have a chance. He would just essentially block Phyrexian Obliterator again. But so it was close. I won't argue that. And the fact that he's got friggin' burn spells. So Flames of the Firebrand does 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures and/or players. So he's going to do 3 direct damage. So if he had a bigger burn spell, he could have just killed us at this point. Swing in with 2 flying drakes and killed us, but so we'll go to 3. We got lucky there. That's just all there is to it. And he'll swing in with the Tyrell and Sky Summoner and the Flying Drake. And we can block Tyrell and Sky Summoner, but we cannot grab this Drake here. So But even with that, he realized that he was essentially going to swing in for 2. We were going to block. He was going to have to sacrifice 2 permanents. His flying Drake would get through, and we would go down to 1. But then I would be able to swing in next round and trample over his Drake, you know, with 4 damage if he blocked. So didn't have anything else. But it was a really, really good game. I have to admit that. So, what do you think? I think both of us played pretty well. So, in this deck, like I said, I just got a bunch of lands. I didn't really get a lot of my new utility cards in there, mainly because they're just 1 drops or 2 drops. So, you know, there's 4 Phyrexian Obliterators. We usually get those out. Didn't really get many mill cards or discard cards out, but that's just how you play it. I mean, there's 4 Distress in here as well, and we didn't get any of this game. So, that's just how it goes some games. So, game ended on turn 13. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you later, guys. Bye.